Hi everyone, so my name is Dominic. I'm 20 years old, and I'd just like to share with you this morning a bit about my faith journey and how God has guided me and really transformed my understanding of God. So I grew up in Tipperary. Initially I lived in Roscrea, and that's where I spent most of my childhood. Both my parents had a strong faith, and I definitely would have picked up a lot from them. We had your standard issue Sunday Mass and daily rosary, and although I didn't really appreciate them when I was younger, they definitely fostered the faith from a young age. And so I remember a couple of times in primary school where I kind of shared my mediocre understanding of the faith at that point with my peers, and I was quickly shut down and slagged off. I can't remember what I said, but I remember referencing Jesus a couple of times, and people just been like, "What is wrong with you?" And so I quickly understood that it wasn't something he talked about, and it was a bit strange. And then going into secondary school, I still had that kind of understanding. I kept my faith to myself. I had a kind of a twisted view of God. I knew God cared about my parents. I never doubted he existed, thank God. I always knew he was there, and that's a real blessing. I knew God would do good things for my parents. My parents liked praying and boring stuff like that, so understandably God would do nice things for them. But me, I didn't like praying or going to Mass. I didn't really understand what was going on. So I didn't expect anything from God, and I thought that was fairly reasonable. I didn't see why God would have a plan for my life or have much to do with me. And so I knew he was there. I just kind of let him do his thing, and I did mine. That was my understanding of God in secondary school through first, second, and third year. And then when I was about 16 years old, I did an exchange. My brother and I did an exchange with a French student. He came over to Ireland for a couple of weeks, and then we said we'd go over to France for a couple of weeks. And while we were in France, we got involved in a scout camp with a Catholic scouting organization called Scout d'Europe. They're very big in France. They're really awesome. And my brother and I really didn't know what we were getting ourselves into. We had been involved in Scout in Ireland, and we said we'd pop over and see what it was like. And yeah, it was a strange way for God to work. I didn't really see it coming, but we ended up getting involved in a very rigorous 2-week scout camp in a forest south of Paris. There was a lot of hiking, a lot of physical games, a lot of prayer, rosaries in the evening, acting and stuff in front of the fire. Scouts of Europe consists of troops, which are units almost. They consist of about 30 or 40 young scouts. Each patrol, there's about 3 or 4 patrols, and they have about 8 scouts to patrol. A lovely hierarchy with scout chiefs at the top. They were usually college students who would give their free time in the summer to organize camps and stuff. And the whole camp was a competition between the patrols of young lads, and they'd all be competing to win. And it really taught me how to serve. As a young teenager, you can get really caught up in your own head and just be kind of selfish. And so we were all forced, my brother and I were forced to reach out to others, overcome the challenge of the French, really push on, try hard, not despair. And it was just so good for us. Then combined with the prayer, it was just really transforming. I don't really understand what happened to this day, to be honest, but I really understand that God worked through it. I remember one time, I think it was my birthday, throughout the camp, we had some terrible 3G internet connection out in the woods, and we were Skyping my dad on my birthday. And my dad said to us, "Guys, you look absolutely amazing. You look great." And my brother and I looked at each other and we're like, "You feel great? Do you feel great?" No, I can't feel my legs. We were so bed up. So my dad had clearly recognized that something had changed in us. And I really noticed that then when I came back to Ireland. And so that was a really big step in my faith journey, where having taken responsibility for all the small things, how to pack my bag, kind of realizing that I was an individual in a foreign country. I was really emphasizing I was weak and I needed God. I decided I was going to take responsibility for the bigger things in my life, like my faith. And so from that point onwards, I began like really actively looking for spiritual food and just like wondering what the faith was about. And so like not long after that, it could have been a couple of weeks, I bumped into Youth 2000. I think my brother told me about it, my older brother. And so I went along to Youth 2000 and I was really blown away, because at Youth 2000 you have the opportunity to meet other people who are in your position, who are at like the same point in their faith journey. It was so strange. I was like, where have you guys been? And it's very Eucharist orientated. I really love that. I think Peter Sands really understands that if you put the youth in front of Jesus, all he has to do is just look at them, and our hearts are moved. It's something different to the world, what the world offers. And so for the next couple of years, Youth 2000 is what really fed my faith journey. And then came sixth year, and I had to like figure out where I was going to go, what kind of career I was going to go for. I remember flicking through the CEO book and just kind of seeing a couple of degrees here and there, like maybe engineering, not too bad, but never really being like kind of invigorated with any specific degree. So before Christmas, it was about before Christmas at that point, the sixth year, having done scouts and things like that, I thought, that maybe the military would be a good career path to go. And I thought to myself, well, it's team orientated, it's a challenge, it's physical, it's outdoors. I think God gave me the gift of wandering awe in God's presence. I think it was back at my confirmation, so I really love the outdoors, and I really see God's presence in that. So I thought, well, I definitely can't imagine myself doing an office job. I'd probably break the computer at some point. So I was like, yeah, let's commit to trying to get into cadets. I was like, I better start training now, because if I don't, it's not like you can't just get in the last second. So I committed to like running every day, and was doing push-ups in the evening, and I did a lot of training. And then I was talking to a lieutenant colonel, and he was going to get me ready for the interview and things. And yeah, I did my leaving cert, and then I did a very simple online psychometric test, which was just to get you into the whole process of being enrolled. And I managed to fail this. I don't know how. I really hope it was God's hand, even though if it is God's hand, I'm still kind of insulted. But I failed this test, and it was all over. And I was really annoyed. I remember like doing my run that evening, and like I was like, "Look, Lord, I can run. Come on, like Yeah, and then 2 days later, Father Patrick's mother here turned up at my house, because Father Patrick's parents only live down the road from where I live in Thurles, Tipperary, Thurles. And she said to my mum, interviews are finishing up soon. Would Dominic be interested in doing a year at Holy Family? And handed my mum an application form. And when I heard my mum told me this, I just knew full well that God was calling me to do a year at Holy Family. I'd heard about Holy Family, wasn't particularly enamored or fascinated. I was like, that's good, but wasn't enthralled at the prospect. But I just knew like God had closed one door and clearly opened another door. And yeah, I did my interview, and I got accepted. And so I did my first year at Holy Family. It was very, very fruitful. Learned a lot about myself. Really began like a much, much more personal relationship with Jesus. Began to like recognize how Jesus like works in my life, and just really see him more. And so that was awesome. And then along came the summer again, and the whole discernment process begins again. I'm like, what am I going to do next year? And so I was like, maybe I'll do like the reserves and engineering at the same time to get a taste for college and the military. And I'd really firmly committed to go to college. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to college. And I remember helping out here at Holy Family over the summer with faith camps and stuff. And I was talking to Father Patrick down by the river in Kilsheelan. I was like, Father, I'm not doing a second year. I'm going to college. I really am going to college. And Father was like, yeah, okay, whatever you think. And I was like, I'm trying to do the Lord's will. I'm trying to do the Lord's will. He just needs to be clear. And Father Patrick left for a priest retreat while I was here. And I just remember in prayer just not being at peace, like constantly questioning what was going to happen at college, where I was going to stay, how it was going to be. And just still being open to doing a second year. And I remember telling people, I will do a second year if I have to, And I was reasonable in my thinking because, I had gotten what I wanted from Holy Family. I'd really formed that relationship. I was kind of sure that if I went into college, I'd still be able to form my relationship and grow closer to Christ. But I didn't have peace. And the prospect of doing second year, I just knew would inevitably be good, and I thought, what if I'm missing out, And so by the time Father Patrick came back from his priest retreat, there was an application form sitting on his desk for a second year. I totally flipped. And I had peace. I had peace with that decision. And here I am now doing a second year. It's really awesome. I'm just so consoled that God is always guiding me, and he'll definitely guide you too. So thanks for listening to me, and thanks for all your support for Holy Family.